I am Connie. I am a Dixie Belle brand ambassador, and I'm also a furniture painter, because that would help. And I go live here on the Dixie Belle YouTube channel every Tuesday at this time. This time being 1 p.m. in the afternoon for me. Don't ask me what time it is there. Anywhere where you are, I don't know. At this time of year, when the clocks change and you have daylight saving and all that, I don't know. I don't know what time it is anywhere else. So all I'm saying is it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon here in the UK. And we're already losing the light. How disgraceful is that? The light here during the winter is horrible. And we've lost that nice kind of autumnal stage where it's like dry and fairly nice to be outside still. It's just grey. Consistent grey, probably for the next, I don't know, 5 months or so. Anyway, the reason for me coming on today, so I haven't been here the last 2 weeks. Last week we were away. The week before that I couldn't go live here, so I've been absent for 2 weeks, but I'm back with some projects. I've got quite a lot going on today, actually. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 projects, no, 5 projects actually in total. But I'm just going to whiz through something first because it's that time of year. It's that time of year where we start thinking about Christmas. I said it. It's November. It's allowed. It's allowed now to talk about it. Surely we're allowed to talk about Christmas. So a few weeks ago, Dixie Belle released some Christmas themed items. So I'm going to whiz through them because this orange glow that's here is not the sun. It's actually my heater, and I'm heating something here, drying it. The drying time at this time of year is terrible. It slows me down so much. So I've got the heater blasting on it because I'm going to stencil something with you in a second, but I'm going to whiz through quickly some of Dixie Belle's Christmas items. And I say some because I've already used some on previous projects. So you can find those on my social media channels. I'm on all the places: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and right here I've got my own YouTube channel, which you can find me at Faff Designs. So I'm going to show you what I have very quickly, tell you what it is. And all of these things are really good for Christmas crafting, DIY gifts, things that you can do with kids during the holiday season. My kids love transfers. They love transfers. They always go, "Mum, have you got any more little offcuts of transfers that we can play with?" And I'm like, yeah. So they always play with transfers. So I've got some, like I say, some seasonal things here. This is not the full inventory of Christmas stuff. If you want to see everything, go to the Dixie Belle website, and across the top you can find Christmas. It's there. It's the menu's there. I was having a little look yesterday, so you can find all things, but I thought it would be quite helpful to show you them in not in real life. This isn't real life, obviously. I'm on a screen, you're on a screen, you're viewing me. You're not sat here in my workshop with me, because you wouldn't all fit. It's a small space and that'd be weird. So I'm going to show you them as best I can on video, and you might get a better idea of scale and colours, because just seeing a picture on a website is sometimes a little bit difficult to gauge. So this one, I'm going to show you this one first because this sold out. You will not find this on the Dixie Belle website. This sold out as soon as it was released. Everyone loves a nutcracker, it would appear. Everyone loves a nutcracker. So this has actually got several sheets in. I'll show you a close-up. And each sheet has got a different colour nutcracker with some parcels, presents, parcels. And you can do anything with these. I made some little hanging decor things with scraps of wood months ago when these came out. So if you want to get one of these, you need to find a Dixie Belle retailer with these in stock. And they do have them. Trust me, they have them, because they're the ones that sold it all out. All the retailers went crazy for this transfer. So this is a rub-on transfer. Some of them are transfers. I'll tell you what they are as I go, but they're not all the same thing. So that is a rub-on transfer, 4 sheets. Each individual sheet's got a different nutcracker on with some presents, and you can make your own things, decor things, hanging things, make your own gifts with it. This one is also a transfer, same size, so the sheets are the same size. This one makes up a continuous kind of woodland scene. So I have seen Shayna use this on a chopping board and make like hanging Christmas decor. Looks really cool. So that is also a rub-on transfer. Another rub-on transfer is this. These are always really popular at this time of year, and then obviously paired with the old poinsettia. So again, 4 sheets. So you've got birds, you've got the poinsettia, and then you've got what I think it's, yeah, pine cones on there. So I'm not going to open these because that'll take too long. Also, I want to keep them together. So I don't want pages everywhere, but that's an idea of kind of scale. As you can see, I've only got very little dinky hands, but you can kind of see how big the birds are from that. Also, in the transfer range, but slightly different how you apply them, these are water slide transfers. Now, if you haven't used a water slide transfer, they're really cool. They're really fun. They don't require rubbing, like burnishing, like normal transfers. The 3 that I've just showed you, they're normal transfers, and you rub them with a wooden tool to basically get them onto your furniture or craft item. These are water slide transfers, so they rely on water. It's like a temporary tattoo. If you've ever had one of those, my kids, again, they love a temporary tattoo, and they rely on water to take them off. Now, the beautiful thing about this is look at that kind of metallic-y finish. So these have got like hints of metallic detail in them, which catch the light like no other. I have used a metallic one when they released this different set, so they were not Christmas ones. I haven't had a chance to use these yet. So these are obviously snow globes. There's lots of different sizes. There's 4 sheets in total, and each one has got a different design. It's got the big one in the center, and it's got lots of little ones. So you could make little hanging pieces, like your own hanging decor. So these wood rounds, you can pick these up from Amazon, craft shops. I've drilled a hole in them, and you could literally use one of those and use it as a little DIY decor. You could do loads of stuff with this, but yeah, the shine on these bad boys is unreal. Also, another water slide transfer is this one. Again, it's got the old metallic-y. It has got the metallic-y because it's just not catching in the light because we have no light here in the UK. Need a head torch on most of the time. I actually had a torch last night taking the doors off a cupboard, and it wasn't even last night, it was yesterday afternoon. I could not see what I was doing trying to take the doors off a cupboard, so I just got my torch, and it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, these again, water slide transfers, and they have got it's lots and lots of these. All different kind of designs. Again, 4 sheets, little hanging pine cones. There's also some acorns in there as well, and they've got little hints of silver on the trees. And then, yeah, the pine cones have also got like little hints of like a metallic silver. So they're also water slide transfers. If transfers aren't your thing, don't worry, I've got more. I have more. So this is decoupage paper. Now, decoupage paper usually comes in like a big sheet, and it's obviously put on furniture in various different ways. For Christmas, Dixie Belle have released, which is really clever, they've released like a craft pack. So in the sheets are a little bit smaller. That's how big they are. They are 11.7 by 16.5 inches, which I think is A2. Is that A2? I don't know. Don't ask me the technicality. I'm just reading what the size is here. But you can see the sides of it. That's one sheet. It's not folded up. That's one sheet. And in the pack, you get 3 sheets. And they're all kind of holiday themed, but they're all different. So you can do craft items with them. Instead of having to purchase 3 packs of different designs, you've got 3 different sheets in one pack. So I've already used the top one on a Christmas bowl that I did, which is on my YouTube channel. It's the last video that I did on my YouTube channel. So that one was a little bowl. That one is like that pattern. And then the other one is the classic poinsettias. So that's one pack. And there are a few different packs of these decoupage papers. I have this one and that one. I think there are other ones as well. But like I say, if you go on the Dixie Belle website, you can see all the Christmas items. I only have a few left. Some of them I've used, some of them I don't have at all. And then this one is called Winter Wonderland. Again, it's got tartan, it's got gingham, and it's also got reindeer. They look like reindeer. Let's have a look. Let's have a look together, because I don't actually know. I ordered this for the tartan. Love a bit of tartan at Christmas. In fact, I love a bit of tartan all year round. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's nice. They're little reindeer in tartan. How cool is that? I like them. So, like I said, I'm not going to get them out because I want to keep them all together in the packs. So that is what I have. And then the last thing that I have to show you is actually what I'm going to use today. When we get round to actually doing something, nearly 12 minutes in and I haven't actually done anything. So the last thing I'm going to show you is a stencil. There are a few different Christmas stencil designs as well. This is just the one that I have. I love this one, and I really wanted to do something with this tree because I think it's really pretty and it's a little bit kind of folk arty. So obviously it's made up of all these different kind of brush strokes. I think that could work really well on kind of like a folk kind of thing. You could do it in a more traditional kind of way as well, but I love a bit of folk art. That is a bit of me. But this stencil is very clever because it's perforated again, which means you don't have to go out and buy 4 different designs. You get 4 designs in one stencil, and Dixie Belle have perforated it so you can just rip them apart, and then you've got 4 different things, and they're completely different. You can mix and match, you could use them independently. Like I said, I wanted to do this one today, but I didn't have anything that was portrait kind of size. The things that I'm working on, it just doesn't fit on. So I will look at something else for doing that on, working with the tree on. So that one is obviously snowflakes, a tree. And then over here, we've got another tree with, well, more trees with like a sign thing on it. And then the bit that I'm going to use today is the baubles, because again, these are a little bit kind of folk arty, a little bit. I like the delicacy of these. I like all the intricate kind of detail on the baubles. So you've got 4 different A4 stencils in one pack. Thank you. I haven't got any questions. I'm just checking I've got questions. So, the thing that I'm drying in the background are these bad boys. These are some plain, raw, untreated wooden crates. You can see that's what the finish was. So, they've got a plywood base, but then the sides are, they're fairly decent. I got these from TK Maxx. In the UK, it's called TK Maxx. I know in the US, it's called TJ Maxx, but in the UK, it's called TK Maxx. I don't know why it's 2 different names. Very weird. But I got these. I got 2 of these, and they were $4.99 each. And before that, I went to Hobbycraft, which is a specialist kind of hobby, DIY, crafty kind of place. And I was looking for kind of wooden crates to do some Christmas craft things on. And they were double the price in there, and they were not as good. So shop around. That's my advice. Also, you can quite often find things like this in thrift shops, secondhand stores, charity shops, whatever you call it from wherever you are. But but I quite often see things like this. They may already be painted, they may already have a finish on, but that doesn't mean that you can't paint over the top of them. You absolutely can. So these were just untreated, which means you can paint straight over them. There's no prep work. And this has just had 2 coats of a dark blue shade from Dixie Belle Still Calling One mineral paint called Nautical. It's a very well used pot because I really like this colour. It's a really nice inky blue, but it's not too dark and it's not too dull. Some blues kind of throw a cool grey kind of cool tone. This obviously is blue, so it is cool tone, but it's actually quite a nice inky rich tone. It's a really beautiful colour, and that I'm turning it off. There we go. That red light was completely throwing it. So let me show you in the light. We haven't got any light. So you can kind of see the colour a little bit better. I hope you can. But it's a very nice, deep, inky blue. It's not the darkest blue in the Silk mineral paint range. Deep Sea is the darkest blue. This is kind of the next one up. But it's a really pretty shade. So I'm going to use... I've used that on one. And then the one that's drying, that might not be ready to paint because it probably needs another coat, is this one. So I painted this in Endless Shore, which is the perfect neutral for Christmas. So Endless Shore is this shade. It's definitely not white. It's more of a cream. It's a warm, very pretty neutral. The coverage of this... amazing, absolutely amazing. I use this quite a lot at Christmas. I've used it under decoupage. I've used it. It's just a really pretty shade. If you've used it, you'll know what I mean. So I'm going to add the stencil onto the side of here. Now, I don't actually know what I'm going to be doing with these storage boxes, but a couple of ideas are Christmas Eve boxes. You could also use them as gift boxes. So obviously wrapping paper, a lot of it's very plasticky. You literally open your present and throw it away. So these are nice because they're reusable. You could keep some on like a keepsake kind of box if you got one with a lid. Loads and loads of different uses. But Christmas Eve boxes, I thought it would be quite a nice idea to do those. I do have 2 kids. I do have 2 boxes. So that is a potential idea. So I'm going to stencil a little bit of a pattern on this. And the idea is I'm going to use Endless Shore to stencil on the blue crate. And I'm going to use the blue shade to stencil on the cream crate. So they'll have the same design, but it'll be different colours. Stenciling. I know I've showed this before, but this is Dixie Belle's smallest round brush. Now, I have been painting furniture for years, over 8 years, and I've always struggled trying to find decent stencil brushes. I've tried finding them from everywhere. Amazon, you name it, I have tried them. I've got a big bunch of stencil brushes, and I don't like any of them, if I'm honest. So, I'm going to show you how you can turn pretty much any brush into a stencil brush. And this applies not only with small brushes, but you could do it with... a brush this size. So I've just washed this, so it's a bit damp, and ideally you don't want to use a damp brush for stenciling, because what happens is the water thins the paint down, and when you've got like a watered down paint, even if your paintbrush is very even just slightly a bit damp, you will get the paint to seep underneath your stencil, so you won't get nice crisp lines. So ideally you want a dry brush, but I'm just making a point that you can do it with kind of any size. So this is an oval brush, but you could do it with this, you can do it with this. But what ideally you need when you are stenciling is quite a firm brush. That's why most stencil brushes are made from natural bristles, because synthetic bristles tend, like this one is synthetic, tend to be a lot softer because they promote a nice smooth finish. Natural bristles are a little bit stiffer, and they can give you a little bit of texture if you're kind of wanting that look. So traditionally speaking, stencil brushes are natural bristle brushes. However, like I say, I can't find one that I love. So I do this. I use my synthetic brush, But like I say, the bristles on these brushes are pretty long. They're very, very soft because they want to kind of promote that smooth finish. And what happens is, if you use it as a stencil brush on its own, you'll kind of get like a whoop, you won't get any control over it, and it's kind of going to wibble everywhere. And also the bristles are going to start splaying out just because of how soft they are and how long they are. They kind of start doing this, so you don't get any accuracy. You want a nice compact kind of brush for stenciling. So painter's tape, masking tape, any tape, bit of that, and then you want to leave, I don't know, that much or so. You don't want to obviously go too far down the end so that you can't actually get any paint on the bristles, and that just holds the bristles nice and compact. It also stops them splaying out, so that when you apply your paint onto your piece through your stencil, the shape of the brush stays nice and rigid, and you get a nice accurate distribution of paint on the surface. So that's my little hack. If you don't have a stencil brush, you don't need to go out and buy one. You can just use your favourite round or oval brush. It does work with flat brush bristles, but I don't like it using it with a, like that's a flat one. You could do it, but I'm not a fan. Not a fan for me personally, but you could if you wanted to. So all you need to do is make sure you've got a little bit of tape and just wrap it around the end to make sure that you've got nice compact bristles, and that will give you a very good stencil. So the other thing you need when you're stenciling is a rag or some shop cloth or tissue paper, basically something that you can wipe the paint off your bristles, because the key to bristles, not the key to bristles, the key to stenciling is minimal amounts of paint. Minimal. Tiny. So what happens is, when you are stenciling, obviously you are putting paint over the top of this, so that when you lift it up, you're left with a pattern on the furniture, usually. But obviously in this case, we're doing a crate. If you use too much paint, it's going to run underneath your pattern, especially if you've got a delicate pattern like this. It's going to seep underneath, and that's what's called bleed through. So you won't get any nice crisp lines, you'll just get kind of like a splodge of paint. It's better to do 2 very thin coats and let it dry in between, rather than to try and get full coverage of in the first go, because you'll be tempted to put too much paint on. That being said, if you use a good quality paint that has good coverage, you won't need to do 2 coats. So I usually use, for my stencils, I usually use chalk mineral paint because it lends itself very well to stenciling. But I'm going to use silk. I'm going to show you can do it with silk. You just have to be careful. So silk mineral paint, they're both Dixie Belle products. This is silk and this is chalk. So that's chalk mineral paint. That's their original paint line. Silk mineral paint came a little bit later. This is an all-in-one paint. It's got a primer and a top coat built into it. It lends itself to more kind of sleek, one-colour modern finishes. It's got a very similar kind of finish to like an eggshelly kind of finish, whereas chalk mineral paint, you can do lots of different effects with it, texture, blending, all the things. This is more of a kind of modern finish paint, if you like. But I'm going to show you can stencil with it as well. So I'm going to attempt now to turn the camera around. How do we... Oh, I see. Is it there? Yes. So... And we're doing this at my other side of my workshop. So I'll show you that side. Chaos. Absolute chaos there. So that's a piece of behind I'm filming for my YouTube channel. This is something that was bought from my mum, from a charity shop that's already got a factory finish on it. This one is something that I started ages ago on here on my lives, and I haven't finished it yet because it's for me, and we never prioritise things that we're keeping for ourselves, do we, as furniture painters? So I am going to hopefully put you there. Ignore this, ignore the mess, just we're here. So I'm going to add a little bit of paint onto my bristles. So I'm going to use the Endless Shore creamy colour. I'm going to put some paint on. Is it going to focus? What you don't want to do is then put all that paint straight on your stencil, because you will get bleed through. It will happen. I'm just going to line it up a bit better because it's going off the edge a little bit there. I want to make sure that that ball is on the side of the thing and not hanging over. So this is where your rag comes in, or your shop cloth, kitchen roll, anything like that will do. And you want to take off pretty much all of the paint that you've just put on. You want to make sure the bristles that are on the end of on the brush have got a very thin amount of paint on. Now, you have to put paint on to take it off. You have to distribute the paint evenly. If you've got a big gloop of paint, obviously it's going to cause issues when you're putting it on your stencil. So you do need to put some on to take it off. It sounds counterproductive, but you do have to do this part. And then all you do is basically stamp it over the top of your stencil. Now, there's a couple of different ways to apply it. This way will definitely ensure, as long as you've taken the paint off your bristles, it'll definitely ensure you reduce the chance of getting bleed through. I prefer doing this, and as you can see, I'm just building it up, building the coverage up really slowly. I'm going over it a couple of times, and I'm using this hand to keep it flat, because you don't want a gap between your stencil and the piece underneath that you're stenciling. You want to keep it completely flat. You can use tape to keep it flat if you want to, but at the minute I'm okay with just using my hand because it's quite a small piece. If you're using a larger stencil on a bigger piece, then you might want to use a little bit of painter's tape just to hold it in place, to stop it from shifting around. And when you feel like your paint is basically running out, it's time to add some more onto the bristles. So it's a slow process. So I'm just taking a bit on my bristles and then rubbing it off again. It is a slow process, but you just have to be patient. I usually try and work from one side to the other, or top to bottom, so that I know I've covered all of the areas with paint. I'm not going to miss any. And also, if your stencil does accidentally shift a little bit, it's much easier to line it up if you've only done, say, half. If you've kind of done it all over the place and you've gone from here to here to here, it's going to be harder to line it up again if your stencil does shift. The other way, which is quite effective, and again, you need to make sure you've hardly got any paint on your bristles at all. The other way to apply paint is by swiping it over. Now, the key with this is to use a very light hand. You don't want to press down. You just want to basically pass that over the surface, and you have to do it multiple times again to get the coverage. But you can see that I'm hardly using any pressure at all with my brush, because again, that will force the paint underneath the stencil and you'll get bleed through. But that's another way that I see people do it as well. It's a little bit quicker, very effective, but you have to be careful that you don't accidentally kind of do that, if you know what I mean. You have to keep it flat to the surface like this, because if you've got any very delicate pieces of stencil, you can quite easily catch it, and that means obviously you're going to ruin the pattern. So that's another way. You can do the stipple motion, you can do the swirly motion. There could be other ways, but I don't know about them. You can obviously use a roller as well with stenciling. I only tend to do that on a very large surface. So if I'm stenciling like the top of a cabinet or something, or the sides of a cabinet, and I'm doing a continuous pattern over the top or down the sides, I might use a roller in that case, because it can be a lot quicker. But again, the key is to add paint onto your roller and then take it off with a rag or something, so that you don't have too much paint on your roller. just checking my comments to make sure I've got no questions about stenciling. You're all very, very quiet. If you have got any questions, drop them in the comments. I'm going to miss this little bit here because that's obviously the top of the next bauble, but I am going to add the little bits of detail here, the stars. I do love a star. I've actually got stars tattooed on my foot. Little bit of useless information for you there. There we go. So, the moment of truth. What am I doing? I am stenciling some boxes with Christmas stencils. Moment of truth. Oh, it's pretty. It's so pretty. So, these boxes, in answer to your question, these boxes were just purchased from TK Maxx, raw pine. I have painted them in a base colour. So this one is blue. My other one is cream. And I'm going to, you can make Christmas Eve boxes, gift boxes, keepsake boxes, Christmas decor, anything with these kind of things. And basically, that's all I'm doing. That is what I'm doing. So, one thing you and I actually messed up yesterday when I was stenciling. One thing to make sure is if you are then going to use the next stencil, just make sure you're using the same side, because obviously you've just put paint on that. So if I was to stencil that and then flip it, you're going to be left with white on here, which is exactly what I did yesterday on a table that I was stenciling. I did that and then I flipped it over and made a big old mess. So just use the same side. So I'm just debating whether I want to make it so I don't think I want another full bauble there. I'm not about symmetry. I'm not about symmetry at all. But I'm just trying to figure out if I want the bottom or the top. I think the top. Do I? I don't know. Yeah, I think the top. So I'm going to, I'll just do this one side with you, and then I'll let you go, because I'm sure you've got better things to do than watch me stenciling a wooden box. I'm going to put a little bit more of the bauble showing, just so you kind of know what it is. I'm going to start at the top. So the paint that I'm using is Dixie Belle Paint. The base colour is called Nautical. It's from their Silk Mineral Paint range. And that is an all-in-one paint, which means it's got a built-in top coat. It also has a built-in stain blocking primer as well. And it lends itself really well to kind of more modern finishes if you're doing it on furniture. If I'm doing a piece of furniture and I want a one-colour finish, 9 times out of 10, I will use Silk Mineral Paint. If I want a blended finish or textured or any kind of effects, I'll usually use Chalk Mineral Paint. So that's the difference. They've also got different colours in the range as well. There we go. So I'm just going to lift. Another tip as well, when you've stenciled, lift your stencil straight up in the air. Try not to slide it over your piece, because that will smudge the stencil that you've just done. And if you do go over, obviously here I just can see where I've probably put my finger, and I've got a little bit of white paint because I've got white paint on my hands. You can just get an artist brush and go in with your base colour, which in my case is the blue, and just touch up those areas. It's not a disaster if you do kind of mess up. I don't sell these. I'm not a stockist. I'm a brand ambassador. So I work with Dixie Belle to promote their products. But if you go to the Dixie Belle website, you can find your local Dixie Belle retailer, and you can go down and find it in store, or You can shop for all of these products that I'm using on the Dixie Belle website, which is obviously dixiebellepaint.com. And they have stockists all over. So as you can tell, I'm not American. There are stockists in the UK as well as the US, although it is a US brand. You can also find Dixie Belle in the UK as well now. They've had retailers in the UK for, I think it's about 5 years now, 4 or 5 years. So I'm not a stockist, but you can buy them. All of these things that I'm using and I've showed you earlier on, they're all Dixie Belle products. Try and find your local Dixie Belle retailer if you can, and support small businesses if possible. But if not, you can always shop on the Dixie Belle website. So go back. Can't fit in. My workshop's not big enough. So that is kind of the vibe. I'm going to add, there's a bit of blank space here and there's a bit down here. So I'll probably add a few more stars and stuff to that. But hopefully that gives you an idea of what you could do with the stencil. The possibilities are absolutely endless. Another thing that is really effective and really beautiful at Christmas is stenciling with gilding waxes. So where are mine? So these are gilding waxes. They're metallic permanent waxes, and they have a, let me show you the consistency. If you haven't seen gilding wax before, I can't describe it to you in any other way other than showing it you, but I do need to get the tin open. Just make sure you're closing the tin afterwards. They come in these like, they're so cute, little metal pots, and the consistency is that. So they're very thick. It's like a thick paste. They're not runny. They won't run out of the tub. These are highly pigmented metallic waxes. And if you struggle with using paint through a stencil because of the reasons that I just listed, which are the the bleed through, because I speak to painters all the time and they say, I've tried stenciling, I've tried it over and over and over again and I can't do it. And I get bleed through no matter what I do, try these. You will not get bleed through with these because they're a paste and they are metallic, they're permanent, you don't have to top coat them. They are oil based, so I will say that, but look at that. They come in silver, bronze, gold, copper, I want to say. Do they? There's loads. There's absolutely loads. Silver, another gold. Gold is the one that I use the most. Gold and bronze, I think. I can't even remember the names. How bad's that? Oh, they're all there. Hang on. Yeah, bronze. Bronze is the other one that I use a lot. Gold and bronze. They're my two faves, especially for Christmas. Blue and bronze for Christmas. So the bronze is, obviously it looks a bit duller. That's the gold. It looks a bit duller, but when it's applied and then buffed to a shine, it's really pretty. So if you do struggle with stenciling with paint because of the bleed through, try these. They're fabulous. They're really good. And obviously you can't go wrong with metallics at Christmas at all. So I hope that's helped. I've shown you a few Christmas items that are available from Dixie Belle, but if you want to see the full range, go to the Dixie Belle website, click on the header, drop down to Christmas, and you can see all the Christmas crafty decor, transfers, stencils, decoupage paper, all the things. We've done a little bit of stenciling. Hopefully you've picked up a few tips and hints for stenciling. And I've swatched 2 oil-based waxes on my fingers now, which I'm going... No, I'm not. I was going to say I'm going to go and clean them off. I'm not. I'm going to wipe them on my trousers. I'm going to wipe them on my trousers because... There you go, gone. These are my painted trousers, so... they're filthy anyway, so it doesn't matter. So anyway, I will catch you same time next week. I'll be doing something totally different. Probably not even Christmas related. I don't know yet. I don't know. I don't plan in advance. I just wing it on the day. But I will be back next week. Same time here next week, different project. So thank you for joining me. Hope you have a fabulous Tuesday, and thanks for watching. Bye.